Hello everyone, you've probably missed my dulcet tones over the last few days. I've been away on holiday in Port Fairy with no internet, but I'm back now, better than ever, and I've got quite a few translations that I'm going to put on for you, beginning with this one, number 74. For some reason this hasn't been able to be uploaded onto YouTube, so I've started afresh, putting a new one on, and let's go. So with our Livy, pause it and let's go through it together. Flumen erat haud magnum proprius hostium castra ex quo et Macedones at Romani aquabantor praesidis ex utraque ripa positis ut id facere tuto possent. So the first sentence, quite a small river. We've got this literally, it was now haud magnum here. It was not big, a river not big, but quite a small river. Erat was propius, was close to the castra, to the camp of the enemy, from which, ex quo, both the Macedones there are the nominative, they're the subject, at Romani, and the Romans, aqua bantor, from the verb aquord, which is a deponent verb. So it's imperfect, third person plural, active, looks passive but is active. They would draw in water. Praesidis positis, look at that ending, the is ending, should be immediately telling you that we are probably going to be dealing, in fact definitely going to be dealing here with an ablative absolute. So, with defences having been set up on each side of the riverbank, or having set up defences, garrisons on each side of the ripa, of the riverbank, ut, plus the subjunctive purpose clause in order that they should be able to do this in safety. Duae cohortes aparte Romanorum erant et duae turmae samnitium equitum, quibus praerat Marcus Sergius Silos legatus. This is a relatively easy sentence. There were two duae cohortes, there were two cohorts, aparte Romanorum, on the side of the Romans, and duae turmae, and two, I've said for turmae, squadrons of samnitium equitum, of Samnite cavalry. Marcus Sergius Silos, the commander, was in charge of whom, or over whom Marcus Sergius Silos was in charge. Et aliud pro castris erat praesidium sub Gaio Cluio legato, tres cohortes et duae turmae equitum. And the other garrison was in front of the camp. Et aliud praesidium, and the other garrison was in front of the camp, sub, under the commander Caius Cluvius. 3 cohorts and 2 squadrons of cavalry. Cum otium ad flumen esset nutris lacescentibus ora circitur nona jumentum emanibus curantium elapsum in ulteriorium ripam effugit. When there was peace, cum plus the subjunctive, we've got a temporal clause here, when there was peace at the river, nutris lacescentibus, with neither lacescentibus, nutris lacescentibus, look at that is ending, and then the entibus, so we've got a present participle ablative absolute here, with neither side being aggressive. Ora circitur nona, time when ablative, at about the 9th hour, at around the 9th hour, jumentum, here a mule, elapsum, having escaped from the hands, curantium, literally of the caring after it people. Now that's obviously sounding appalling, so we'll just say of those looking after it. Elapsum, having escaped from the hands of those looking after it, curantium, genitive, present participle, it fled onto the opposite riverbank. Long sentence now. Quod cum per aquam ferme genus tenus altam tres milites sequerentur et traces duo id jumentum ex medio alveo in suam ripam trahentes caperent hos persecuti illi altero eorum occiso receptoque jumento ad stationem suorum se recipiebant. Take your time with it. Make sure it's absolutely right, you're not making little mistakes like 3 soldier that I notice I've done there, but it's too late. I'm not going to go through that again and change it for the sake of a little s. So, cum plus the subjunctive, when 3 soldiers, cum sequerentur, so it's a temporal clause with a deponent verb, when 3 soldiers followed, quod, literally which thing, as in the pack horse that we had, the mule, when 3 soldiers were following this, through per aquam, through the water, to almost the ferme, the tenus altam, through almost a depth of their knees, through to almost the depth up to tenus genus, up to their knees, and et duo thraces, and 2 Thracians, caperent, So take your time, find your subject, find your verb, find your object. And 2 Thracians, we're still part of the temporal clause, so we're still in the subjunctive with the cap errant there. And 2 Thracians grabbed it, trahentes, present participle here in the plural, dragging it, or dragging the jumentum, dragging the mule, ex medio alveo, out of the middle of the riverbed, onto in suam, onto their own. For some reason, lots of people forget this word, suus, sua, suum. They sort of leave it out when they're translating it. His, her, or its own. Onto their own riverbank. Ili, they, change the subject here, they, persecuti, perfect active participle, they, having pursued hos, these men, altero eorum occiso, with one of them having been killed. This is a good ablative absolute exercise, isn't it? Altero occiso, with one of them, look at that O ending telling us that we're dealing literally with one of them having been killed. Having killed one of them, jumento, you can hear my daughter screaming in the background, messing around outside, sorry it's not screaming, that sounded frightening. She's just playing in the garden. So they, with one of them having been killed, jumento receptoque, and having taken back, another ablative absolute, having taken back the mule, se recipiebant, they withdrew themselves, ad stationem suorum, to their own station. Praesidium, a defence, or sorry, let's read it out in Latin first. Octigentorum Thracum praesidium in hostium ripa erat. Ex his pauci primo aegre passi popularem in suo conspecto caesum ad persequendus interfectores fluium transgressi sunt den plures postremo omnes. A defence, praesidium, the subject, a defence of 800 Thracians was erat ripa, was on the bank of the enemy. Erat in ripa hostium. A defence of 800 Thracians was on the bank of the enemy. Now, let's find the subject of this next part. We need to start off by saying ex his, so primo, at first, pauci is our subject. Some, ex his, some of these. So pauci, make that your nominative. Primo, at first. Pauci, nominative. At first. Some of these. Passi, perfect active participle. Having weakly suffered, endured maybe. Caesum, the slaughter of a popularem, a countryman, of a friend. In suo conspectu, in their own view. They transgressi sunt, they crossed the river ad persequendos interfectores. Look at this word persequendos, and we are asking, aren't we, Lauren, whether or not it is a gerund or a gerundive, and because it's plural, it must be a gerundive. It is agreeing with interfectores. So literally they crossed for the murderers to be pursued. Ad persequendos, they crossed the river to pursue the murderers. Den plures, first a few of them, postremo omnes, then all of them. Well done everyone. I'll catch up with you soon with the next translation.